Hello, good morning. Welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I am Christopher Lele. In the headlines, Nupeng accuses Dangote of enforcing slave-like conditions, affirms Monday strike will hold. The Christian Association of Nigeria says it will not sue Niger State over preaching license. London and tens of thousands march in Brussels supporting Palestinians and denouncing Israel's actions in Gaza. Details shortly.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
The Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, Nupeng, has explained that it is embarking on a strike action today because Dangote Refinery and its management want to bring back slavery into Nigeria's workforce. The union made its position known in a statement released yesterday, signed by Williams Akporeha and Afolabi Olufemi, President and General Secretary. Nupeng had last week asked members to down tolls over anti-labor activities by Dangote Refinery. However, stakeholders including petrol tanker drivers and the Direct Trucking Company Drivers Association, DTCDA, have kicked against Nupeng's planned strike. But in Sunday's update, Nupeng insisted that Dangote-sponsored groups cannot stop its planned strike action. According to Nupeng, DTCDA is the recruiting company that was formed by Sayo Aliu Dantata and Aliko Dangote for the 10,000 CNG trucks they are importing. It's dismissed DTCDA as an unauthorized union for tankers drivers. The Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) and federal government workers have demanded an urgent review of the national minimum wage, insisting that the current 70,000 naira is no longer sustainable. Acting General Secretary of the NLC, Benson Upa, told NAN Sunday in Abuja that inflation has eroded the value of the 70,000 naira minimum wage, leaving many workers unable to meet basic needs. They made the demand following the bold steps taken by several states across the countries to increase the minimum wage of their workers above 70,000 naira benchmark. In response to the prevailing economic realities, the labor unions and workers who spoke in separate interviews contended that in the face of galloping inflation, rising cost of food, transportation, housing, and other essential services, the 70,000 naira minimum wage could no longer sustain them. President Bola Tinubu had earlier signed the new national minimum wage bill into law in July 2024, raising the minimum wage from 30,000 naira to 70,000 naira. The amended law applies to the entire country, including the federal government, states, local government, and the private sector. The All Progressives Congress has dismissed claims by former Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal, accusing President Bola Tinubu and the ruling party of plotting to destabilize the opposition, insisting that Tinubu and the APC are fully focused on governance and have no time to interfere in broken opposition parties. The APC spokesperson Felix Moka said this in a statement on Sunday. Tambuwal, during an appearance on a television station on Friday, accused President Tinubu and the APC of plotting to destabilize opposition parties and vowed to join forces with others to defeat them in the 2027 elections. In response, Moka said Tambuwal, like other loud opposition figures, failed to provide any evidence to back his claims. He said President Tinubu remains resolute and focused on rebuilding generationally neglected foundations of the economic life and repositioning the country for sustainable progress. The APC publicity scribe explained that opposition politics is not simply about membership of a political party different from the ruling party. Moka questioned how present-day opposition leaders can be seen as capable of leading Nigeria at such a critical time when they have allegedly failed so badly to manage their own parties. He added that opposition leaders remain in denial while their parties allegedly drift rudderless at sea as their members peel away in droves. Senator Adams Oshomole has unveiled the first batch of constituency projects for execution in Edo North Senatorial District. The projects include the 2.5-kilometer Fuga-Uka Road in Itsako Central Local Government Area. Others are 6 classroom blocks at Apana Mixed Secondary School, Apana in Itsako West, and 6 classroom blocks at Osime Primary School, Agenebode in Itsako East. Also listed are a 250 capacity automated CBT center at Iyambo Secondary School, Iyambo, and a fully furnished 6-block classroom at Akpekpe Secondary School, Auchi. In addition, a block of classrooms will be constructed at Ijemono Primary School, Ihebe, Ogbe, Owan East Local Government Area. Speaking during the project handover to contractors on Sunday, Oshimole said the 6 projects represent the first batch of his constitution project for 2025. Oshimole, represented by his Chief of Staff, Victor Oshioke, said the project were people-oriented initiatives aimed at improving life conditions and, of course, across Edo North. He emphasized the revival of the Red Roof Revolution to ensure pupils and students have a conducive atmosphere for learning. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has dismantled an international drug cartel operating between Nigeria, the United Kingdom, Brazil, Australia, and the United Arab Emirates, arresting 3 kingpins and intercepting narcotics worth over 6.4 billion naira. The NDLEA Director of Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, in a statement released on Sunday in Abuja, disclosed that the operation began on August 26 at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, when its officers intercepted 76 cartons of textile materials bound for Sydney, Australia. Subsequent investigations led to the arrest of Maozi Ademola, identified as the syndicate's Nigerian coordinator, and Shola Adegoke, another senior member. Ogunbiyi, who had completed a 14-year sentence in Britain for murder, was picked up in Ikeja GRA on September 3rd, with officers later recovering 21 parcels of Canadian loud cannabis and bump-action rifle and cartridges from his Lekki residence. Adekoke, who had previously served a jail term in the UK for trafficking, was arrested at a packaging house in Ikeja GRA, where officers also recovered a 9.6 kg of loud from a range SUV Rover. The agency further identified Adebisi Ademola, alias Mr. B, currently based in Dubai, as the cartel's overall leader, managing overseas operations. The statement further stated that the NDLEA operatives intercepted other shipments across the country. Still to come, 2 injured, 3 rescued in separate road accidents at Mile 2, Surulere. NGF mourns victims of Niger boat mishap. Stay with us.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Human rights activist Deji Adeyonju has condemned the alleged targeting of social media accounts of Omoyele Sowore by the Department of State Services. In a statement on Sunday, Adeyonju described the action as unacceptable and an attack on democracy. Adeyonju noted that Sowore has remained a victim of intolerant governments, yet continues to express his views with courage. He stressed that Sowore, as a former presidential candidate, deserves respect for his commentaries on governance, regardless of how uncomfortable they may be for those in power. The secret police has formally petitioned social media platform X, formerly Twitter, to delete a post by Sowore describing the content as a national security threat and a violation of Nigerian law. Troops of the 6th Brigadier Nigerian Army have recovered a cache of arms and military-related equipment in Wukari Local Government Council of Taraba State. The recovery, according to a statement made available to journalists on Sunday in Jalingo by the acting assistant spokesperson of the Brigadier, Lieutenant Umar Mohammed, was made during a cordon and search operation at Ikiao Village, Wukari Local Government Area. The brigade said the operation, conducted on September 6, followed credible intelligence reports indicating that a suspected criminal identified as Mr. Tahemen Nzaga, popularly known as Full Fire, was allegedly harboring armed criminals in the Sabon Gida Lekki area along the Benue-Taraba border. While no suspects were apprehended during the operation, a significant quantity of military-grade items were reported to have been discovered and recovered. One person was reportedly killed while skulls are missing in a violent attack by armed bandits in Shagba village near Ibaja town of Ifelodon local government area of Kwara State. The attack occurred at about 9 p.m. on Saturday, throwing the community into panic. A security agent disclosed that one person was killed during the violent invasion and 8 others declared missing. Reacting to the development, the State Commissioner of Police, Adekemi Ojo, said the Divisional Police Officer, DPO of Okeode, is already in the area for on-the-spot assessment of the situation. The Shagbe attack is coming barely hours after the arrest of a sizable number of suspected bandits in Babanla community who are now being profiled as the State Police Command in Ilori, the state capital. 2 persons were grievously injured while 3 others were rescued in separate road accidents that occurred over the weekend at Mile 2 and Surulere areas of Lagos State. The Lagos State Traffic Management Authority LASMA confirmed its intervention in the 2 incidents which happened at Olorunshogbo bus stop while Mile 2 at the Stadium Hotel axis of Ojuelegba, Surulere. At Mile 2, a Toyota rammed into a stationary Scania truck, leaving the car driver and the passenger critically injured. They were rescued by LASMA officials and rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. Preliminary investigation showed that the accident was caused by excessive speeding, which led to the driver losing control of the vehicle. LASMA officials arrested the truck driver at the scene, while policemen from Ijonikin Division provided security backup. Similarly, at Ojuelegba, a white commercial Mazda bus crashed into the median along the BRT corridor near Stadium Hotel. The bus stop, the driver, who was found unconscious, and 2 passengers were rescued and taken to a nearby hospital. One of the survivors, identified as Kadri, said the accident occurred after the bus suffered sudden brake failure while at top speed. The Nigerian Governors Forum (NGF) has expressed sadness over the report of a boat mishap in Bogu local government area of Niger State, with some 60 persons reported dead. The forum, in a statement issued by the chairman, Governor Abdul Rahman Abdul Razak, explained its deepest condolences to the people and government of Niger State and commended the rescued operations immediately mounted by the administration of Governor Umar Bago. The forum similarly called for strict adherence to the use of life jackets during water travel. The Christian Association of Nigeria, Niger State Chapter, said it will not take legal action against the state government over the introduction of a license for preaching. The State Bureau for Religious Affairs has recently introduced a Da'awa registration forum and certification process for preachers, sparking reports that the government had banned religious preaching. However, CAN spokesman Daniel Atori said in a statement on Sunday that the directive did not affect Christian clerics and therefore would not warrant a lawsuit. He added that Bureau had no powers to randomly ban clerics unless there was a clear violation of established guidelines. Also clarifying the matter, the Bureau's media aide, Haruna Mustafa, dismissed reports of a ban on preaching as misinformation, insisting the agency only sought to regulate preaching to curb misleading messages and promote religious harmony. Mustafa explained that clerics who wish to preach in the state must obtain a Dawah registration form, undergo evaluation, and be certified. The registration began on September 4th. Mustafa stated that the agency remains committed to upholding religious harmony and establishing standards for responsible religious outreach in Niger State. Up ahead, Trump ready for second stage of sanctions on Russia over Ukraine conflict. Turkey's remain opposition goals for rallies after police brigade Istanbul office. Stay with us.
Signature TV. News in your pocket.
A total lunar eclipse, also known as the blood moon, was observed on Sunday from around the world as the moon turned a deep red as it completely entered the Earth's shadow. The Earth, Moon, and Sun aligned to produce a total lunar eclipse, making the moon lose its usual white light. The reddish appearance of the lunar surface is caused by rays of sunlight around the outer edge of the eclipse shadow, or umbra, being filtered and refracted as it passes through Earth's atmosphere, bathing the moon indirectly in a deep copper glow. The degree of redness depends on atmospheric conditions that vary with levels of air pollution, dust storms, wildfire smoke, and even volcanic ash. London underground workers began a week of rolling strikes on Sunday, action which is set to bring the network to a standstill and cause. Prime Minister Viktor Orban had said the 2026 election would offer Hungarians a choice between a party that puts the country first or one that would usher a chaos and poverty by linking the country more closely to the EU and NATO. In power since 2010, the Eurosceptic nationalist faces what political analysts say could be its toughest election next year, with the economy stagnating and stubborn inflation preventing rate cuts from the EU's joint highest 6.5% level. Orban is looking to fend off a challenge from center-left challenger Peter Magyar, who has offered big tax cuts for families, food vouchers for pensioners, and cheap loans for first-time home buyers. Orban told supporters of his right-wing Fidesz party that aligning with Brussels would mean chaos and poverty.
It is clear that Hungary has only two options in strategic terms. We have to choose between them. Both are possible. Both have their own outlines, they have a clear body, substance, and you can choose either one. The first is to join the Brussels policy. I think this would be catastrophic and would lead to chaos and poverty. We would simply hitch Hungary's car to the European train.
Earlier on Sunday, Magyar, a former government insider whose Teza party is ahead of Orban's Fidesz in most polls, said he would revive Hungary's economy by unlocking billions of euros of EU funds suspended over Orban's rule of law reforms, stamping out corruption and launching a wealth tax while cutting taxes on lower incomes.
The future Hungary will be a stable, predictable, peaceful country. A place where there is no need to fear either war or uncertainty, where there is no need to fear tomorrow. Our country will once again be an active and credible member of the European Union and NATO.
US President Donald Trump said at the White House on Sunday that he is ready to move to a second stage of sanctioning Russia over the conflict in Ukraine. Trump's comment comes as Russia launched its largest air attack of the war on Ukraine overnight, setting the main government building on fire in central Kyiv and killing at least 4 people, including an infant, Ukrainian officials said on Sunday. President Volodymyr Zelensky said the drone and missile barrage killed 4 people and caused damage across the north, south, and east of the country, including the citizens of Zaporizhia, Ri, and Odessa, as well as in the Sumy and Chernihiv regions. Trump also told reporters that he had a great conversation with Kassym-Jomart Tokayev and President Kazakhstan, but did not elaborate on the substance of his talk with Tokayev. Turkey's main opposition, CHP, called on citizens and residents of Istanbul to gather on Sunday after police set up barricades in areas around its Istanbul headquarters in what the party leader called a siege. The Republican People's Party, CHP, has been in the target of a months-long legal crackdown, which has swept up hundreds of its members, including Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, President Tayyip Erdogan's main political rival, whose March arrest set off Turkey's largest street protest in a decade. The CHP has denied all accusations against it and said the legal measures are politicized attempts at eliminating electoral threat against Erdogan and weakening the opposition. The latest moves against the CHP began on Tuesday when a court ordered the removal of the party's Istanbul provincial head over alleged irregularities in the 2023 Congress. Speaking at a CHP event in Istanbul, party chairman Özgür Özel called on Turks to gather and demonstrate against the court's decision and the crackdown against his party, as well as the police measures to set up barricades around the headquarters and restrict public access to it. Tens of thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters lined the streets of Brussels on Sunday in a bid to put ahead pressure on Belgian and European Union politicians to take a stronger stance in opposition to Israel and in support of Palestinians in Gaza.
I hope my country will be free, and we want to go back to our country, and we want to get to be also free, and we have name for Palestine, Free Palestine. And yeah, we are doing these things for our country, the people, they loving Palestine because we are the right people. This land is for us, but Israel, they want to steal it from us.
If you look, we see a lot of different people from all religions, from all countries. They gathered here to send a message to the government. Brussels is the capital of Europe, and still they fail us. So I think it's a very good thing what we do here, and I hope that genocide will stop finally.
Estimated that between 70,000 to 110,000 people joined the protest march. The protest was organized by a number of organizations, including 11-11-11, and many protesters were dressed in red to symbolize a red line against violence in the region. Starting from Brussels North Station, the march stretched across 3 kilometers heading to the area of Brussels where European institutions are mainly located. Thousands waved Palestinian flags and chanted slogans as marchers walked the traditional Arab music playing through loudspeakers. Al Roya building was seen in Gaza City at the moment it was struck by an Israeli air raid on Sunday, followed by thick smoke covering the area. The building, a multi-story structure, was among those targeted by Israeli strikes as part of a large-scale military operation aimed at advancing into the largest urban area in the Gaza Strip. Israel said that civilians were warned in advance. The building was used to shelter displaced families in Gaza, according to Palestinians. The military pounded Gaza City over the weekend, destroying 2 high-rise buildings that were sheltering displaced Palestinians. Israel said the buildings were being used by Hamas. Israel's Ramon Airport near the southern city of Eilat resumed operations after being briefly shut on Sunday when a drone launched from Yemen struck the arrivals hall. The National Ambulance Service said 2 people were injured by shrapnel, which caused takeoffs and landings at the airport to be halted for around 2 hours. The Israeli military said it was investigating the crash of a drone that was launched from Yemen and fell in the area of the airport. The airport authority said it was in the arrivals hall. Israel's National Ambulance Service spokesman David Adam said a 63-year-old man and a 52-year-old woman were injured by shrapnel and were evacuated to receive medical treatment. The airport, located near the Red Sea resort city of Eilat on the border with Jordan and Egypt, and some 350 kilometers from Tel Aviv, mostly handles domestic flights. Israeli carriers Israel and Arkia had flights scheduled from the airport on Sunday. A municipality in central Mexico remains on high alert as the Centennial Dam in Toquesquiam exceeded its maximum capacity, reaching 113% on Sunday. Area views of the dam showed significantly elevated water levels following heavy rainfall, pushing the municipality into the red phase of its rain emergency system. Authorities have begun evacuating residents from areas most vulnerable to flooding. Chile's annual march commemorating victims of the 1973 military coup drew hundreds of participants in Santiago on Sunday, with events proceeding largely peacefully. The march, organized by human rights groups and relatives of the disappeared, advanced through the streets of Santiago en route to the General Cemetery. Protesters carried photographs and banners honoring victims of the dictatorship, while cultural performances and speeches called for the truth and justice. The Chilean police reported isolation incidents, including one group launching fireworks at officers in central Santiago. The coup on September 11, 1973, in which tanks roamed the streets of Santiago and Hawker Hunter planes bombed a burning presidential palace reverberated around the world. It marked the start of a series of US-friendly right-wing dictatorships that governed much of South America well into the 1980s and were characterized by mass arrest, torture, and disappearances. According to various Chilean human rights commissions, there are 40,175 victims of the dictatorship classified as politically executed, disappeared, imprisoned, or tortured. Thousands also fled into exile and over 1,000 are still missing. Pinochet's rule ended in 1990 after most Chileans voted for democracy in a referendum, never convicted of a crime. He died in 2006. Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva attended a civic military parade in Brasilia on Sunday to mark the country's Independence Day amid trade tensions with the United States following increased tariffs on Brazilian exports. The parade, held in the capitals of ministries under the slogan Sovereign Brazil, comes as US President Donald Trump imposed a 50% tariff on several Brazilian goods. Trump has described the move as a response to what he claims is a witch hunt against his ally and former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, who is currently on trial for charges related to an alleged coup attempt. Bolivia marked a new edition of its nationwide Pedestrian Day on Sunday with streets reserved exclusively for pedestrians and cyclists for 18 hours in an effort to curb environmental pollution and encourage healthier lifestyles. The event transformed urban areas into open spaces for walking, cycling, and outdoor activities free from motorized traffic. Authorities organized bicycle caravans, recreational fairs, and cultural events in major cities to promote active mobility and raise awareness about environmental issues. In El Alto, residents filed avenues with bicycles, skateboards, and jogging groups descending toward the city center in a vibrant display of activity and active mobility. La Paz mirrored the festivities with citizens engaging in outdoor activities such as cycling, dancing, and Zumba sessions, while police academy students taught exercises to the public. The National Day of the Pedestrian and Cyclist, held on the first Sunday of September since 2011, aims to promote environmental awareness among residents. Volkswagen unveiled a concept for a new small electric SUV on Sunday as part of the automaker's push to offer affordable battery-powered vehicles amid greater competition on the cost and innovation, US tariffs, and shifting consumer demand. The ID Cross is part of a product offering that has seen the Volkswagen Group, Europe's largest car maker, introduce around 60 models in 2024 and 2025. Chief Executive Blum said at a media preview ahead of the Monaco Car Show that begins on Tuesday.
There's never been a lineup like this at the IAA. Where does this new power come from? It is the result of our groundbreaking strategic decisions over the past years, all made in the face of major challenges. Strong competitions and declining demand in Europe, fast innovation and price pressure in China, trade tensions, tightening global regulations, and a slower EV ramp-up in Europe and in the US than expected. But we didn't hold back. Quite the opposite. We moved forward, focused and united. That is the Volkswagen spirit. That's our mindset. Around 60 new models in total this and last year alone. Excited customers worldwide, improved quality, 28% market share in BEVs in Europe, we're number one. Strong order book in our home European region, award-winning software solutions, and a few years ago that seemed almost unthinkable. And with the autonomous driving ID. Buzz AD and Moya, we have laid the groundwork to enter a new multi-billion global market. And we keep going. In Salzgitter, our battery cell production factory will start operations soon. In China, we are shifting to delivery mode with tailor-made models for local customers developed in China for China. And in the US, we are pushing forward with our growth strategy.
Because it's more than a design, it's the map.
Electric SUV, which will have its world premiere in the summer of 2026, is expected to be priced between €28,000 and €30,000, targeting less affluent clients keen on buying EVs. European automakers are up against stiff competition from China in the quest to bring affordable EVs to the market. Squeezed by falling profits in key markets, China, and weak auto demand in Europe, Volkswagen has also launched a major cost-cutting program that will see more than 35,000 jobs go, along with painful capacity cuts at its German plants. Egypt-listed real estate firm Ammar Maize for Development (EMFD) signed a deal to build a tourism development on the Egyptian Red Sea with Saudi Arabian and Emirati partners, saying the project could eventually generate investments worth 900 billion Egyptian pounds. Senior officials from the companies involved, EMFD, Sky Tower for real estate development, and Golden Coast, which is owned by Saudi Arabia City Stars, made the announcement at a televised event in Cairo, attended by Egyptian Prime Minister Mustafa Modbuli on Sunday. Ammar Maize, almost wholly owned by Dubai's largest real estate developer, Ammar holds a stake in Sky Tower for real estate development. The project, dubbed Marasi Red Sea, would be launched soon. Hassan El Shabati, Vice President of City Stars, said.
As you can see, it's a project on 10 million square meters, with investments worth more than 900 billion Egyptian pounds, almost £1 trillion Egyptian pounds worth of investments in this project. It will include more than 4,000 hotel rooms and hotel apartments, which will guarantee that this area would become an important destination for international tourism and a high level of international tourism, as it's associated with the establishment of international marina for yachts. But most importantly, this project will create more than 150,000 job opportunities during its implementation and 25,000 permanent job opportunities after it becomes operational.
The project was first announced in February this year. Egypt has been seeking large-scale investment projects to boost its economy, which has been grappling with a protracted financial crisis and the economic reverberations of the war in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. Last year, Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund (ADQ) led a consortium to invest $35 billion in Egypt to develop a 170 million square kilometers area on the Mediterranean. Eyimba Football Club of Aba were on Sunday held to a goalless draw by Nasarawa United Football Club of Lafia in a match day 3 fixture of the Nigerian Premier Football League play in Aba. Eyimba came into the game on the back of the victory recorded in their last game against Niger Tornadoes and had hoped to consolidate on their previous victory. Eyimba failed to convert the goal-scoring opportunities that came their way earlier in the game, as their players John Bassi Quadri, Olasukomi, and Edi Diong Ezekiel failed to convert their chances. The visitors, Nasarawa United, should have taken the lead in the 28th minute of the game through Mohamed Gabar, only for the young winger failed to direct his shot at goal from a clear opportunity. Eyimba, however, felt they had scored in the 32nd minute after Edi Diong Ezekiel scored, only for the goal to be adjudged as offside to the dismay of the home fans, as Nasarawa United held on till the final minute, thereby picking a point away from home. Eyimba will next be guest to Bayelsa United, while Nasarawa United will host Wike Tourist Football Club of Bauchi on March Day 4 this weekend. Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen has been ruled out of the Super Eagles' crucial 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier against South Africa. Osimhen, who was forced off in the first half of Saturday's 1-0 win over Rwanda in Uyo, had initially been feared to be struggling with an ankle problem. According to journalist Suleiman, popularly known as Poja, quoting official NFF sources, Osimhen woke up with discomfort on Sunday morning and will not be traveling with the squad for Tuesday's clash on Johannesburg against South Africa. Osimhen had only just returned to the national team set up this month after missing the Unity Cup triumph in May and the 1-1 draw with Russia. The 26-year-old, who scored twice against Rwanda in March, had a goal disallowed for offside before being forced off early on Saturday. His absence is a major blow for head coach Eric Chile, who had hoped to rely on the strikers' firepower in the high-stakes encounter against Bafana. Michel Alozie, Super Falcons defender, has urged all the fans who supported the Super Eagles against Rwanda to do the same for Nigeria's national female football team. The 28-year-old also urged the Super Eagles to take their matches in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers one game at a time. She stated this in a post through her X account after Nigeria defeated Rwanda 1-0 on Saturday. Nigeria's next game is now against South Africa on Tuesday evening. New Zealand's teenager flyer Braxton Sorensen McGee scored a hat-trick of tries as the holders set a signal of intent by beating Ireland 40-0 in their last Pool C clash on Sunday to preserve a 100% start to the defense of Women's Rugby World Cup crown. The Irish, who have a winning record over the Black Ferns, began strongly in front of a 30,000 crowd but failed to convert early pressure and then found themselves 12-0 behind after 20 minutes. First, Tayce Walker sped off in the 15th minute after a quick ball down the line before prop forward Chris Vico powered over 5 minutes later from close range. The 18-year-old Sorensen jinxed past two defenders to score the first of her 3 tries to put New Zealand 19-0 up at the break, before showing another impressive turn of speed in the 58th try. New Zealand, who won the last World Cup on home soil 4 years ago, also had the opportunity to show their defensive qualities, which will come in handy in the knockout stages as they tigerishly kept Ireland at bay in the latter stages of the game, thwarting efforts at a comeback. New Zealand will now take on South Africa in the first of the quarterfinals in external next Saturday, while Ireland are also through to the last 8 after finishing second in the pool. France finished top of Pool D at the Women's Rugby World Cup following a dominant victory against South Africa on Sunday. The French enjoyed a one-sided 57-10 win at Franklin's Gardens to advance to the quarterfinals unbeaten, running in 9 trials with 2 each for Emily Bollard and Joanna Graces in Northern Ireland. They will take on Ireland at Sandy Park in Exeter next Sunday, while New Zealand kick off the quarterfinals at the same venue on Saturday against South Africa. Manchester United goalkeeper Andre Onana is set to join Turkish club Trabzonspor on loan, according to media reports on Sunday. While the transfer window closed for most European leagues on September 1, teams in the Turkish Super League are still able to sign players until September 12. Onana joined Manchester United from Inter Milan in 2023, reuniting with former Ajax coach Eric Ten. The 29-year-old Cameroon international has just made 102 appearances for United in just over 2 seasons at Old Trafford, but has fallen out of favour under Ruben, with the Red Devils signing Belgian goalkeeper Saint Lamens on deadline day. Rhiannon Infland was crowned Cliff Diving World Series champion for a record-extending 9th time, with a dominant win in Mostar, Bosnia and Herzegovina on Saturday. The Australian, who remains unbeaten in the shortened 2025 season after 3 of the 4 legs, finished the event in 363.15 points, with countrywoman Xanthia Penisi, who received a late wildcard entry second, and Kalia Arnett of the United States third. In the men's competition, Romanian Constantin Popovici kept his title hopes alive with a victory over American James Lichtenstein and legendary overall leader Gary Hunt of France. Popovici cut Hunt's lead in the overall standing to just 7 points with his 10th career win. The season-ending event takes place in Boston on September 1920.
I'm stoked. I'm so happy that all the hard work has paid off. I was a little unsure how it was going to look with the less amount of stops this year, and I wasn't 100% convinced that I could seal the deal at the penultimate stop. So here we are, and we've done it. I'm still speechless. You ask me how I feel now. Ask me in an hour, it'll probably sound a little bit different. But yeah, I'm stoked. But more so, I'm just proud of everything that that I've been doing, and the hard work I've been putting in, and the resilience and everything. I'm so stoked.
And that's the news this hour. I'm Christopher Lely. Thanks for watching.